So I will show how to make Ultraman Trigger SHF. All is based on my personal opinion on how to do it. It's not like a formula or SOP like that. So basically this is how I did it. You may find a lot of ways to do in some websites like Bilibili and so on. So this is all my personal opinion on how to do it. So basically what I did was I used a body cone like that. So you may get it from maybe Shopee or whatever websites. I got it like by 30 ringgit. So 30 ringgit and I got this body. So if you are maybe richer, you may get like a real SHF like Ultraman Tiger and modify it from that. Ultraman Tiger is more recommended because Ultraman Tiger is basically has less armors and so on, and then Ultraman Tiger is also basically cheaper, so you may get Ultraman Tiger and start modifying that. And then another thing is that Ultraman Tiger and Ultraman Trigger, their suit actor are the same, so basically their body proportions are also the same, so you may use Ultraman Tiger and start modifying. So another thing that you need is that this one, your Sofubi. This is Ultra Hero series 500 series, so your Ultraman. So this is what you need. And then, so what I did was basically I cut the head, and then I cut the body, the head of the body cone. So you have to scrape the body cone, the head of the body cone until this like this size. So yeah, so basically you have to cut off the head, the face, the ears and so on, and then yeah, so this is how it looks like. And then you have to remember that never cut the top parts, because after you cut the top part and then the head will be very short. So what I noticed is that when I put in the head, just make sure you, after cutting this, then you can fit in your head. Yeah, so basically just make sure this head can fit in. So what I noticed is that when I put here, right, when I plug on the head looks very short, so for me it's kind of weird. So what I did was I add some tissue papers in it before putting this bodycon's head into your mold. Yeah, so basically when you notice it's too short, you can use this and take it out. So after fitting in, then you can just test on your body. Just fit in. Yeah, fit in like that. So make sure it looks nice. And then after that, you have to check the movement, up, down, left, right. So you can just rotate like that. Yeah. And then another thing is that this part will be affected. It's actually up to you. You can just cut off this part, this thingy, and then your head can raise higher. But then I don't think raising that high is necessary, so I just leave it like that. Yeah, so it looks more like the suit, like that. And then another thing to notice for the head is that this part, you have to make it thinner. Just scrape it, make it thinner. The original thickness is like this, I think. Yeah, so basically you have to scrape it, make it thinner. Yeah, like that. Make sure you don't cut your hand. You don't cut your fingers. Yeah, it's basically just like that. You notice that? Do you notice that? So this part is basically thinner, this part is actually thicker. So when thinner, right, your body couldn't hit, you can fit in more easily. So some people may feel this is very hard, so they might cut off this part, make a cut at here, and then after fitting in your body couldn't hit, and then you can just put your glue, paste here. Use this glue. I use this glue 502 super glue, and so but then I didn't use this method, so this is actually optional, so maybe you can just paste it here after fitting in your head, because I feel like the more you cut, I feel the more you cut, then it will look not that nice. So yeah. Okay, so the next part is your chest plate. The chest plate, you may notice that this part is gold color. Mine is gold color, but the real one is actually silver color because I've colored that. I colored some parts, so yeah. So what you need to do is that for chest plate, just cut it like that. Yeah, so just follow the lines and so on. You may notice that some people cut this part actually, so they may follow this line and cut, which means for this mold, right, they just cut here. But I feel that this is quite hard for me. I prefer following these lines. So yeah, some people just cut here and just fit in like that. So usually I'll take advantage on those chest plates and so on, and then I just fit in like that. Yeah. So what I did was, after cutting out this chest plate, right, this chest plate is also very thick, so you have to make it thinner, make it as thin as possible, like this. Yeah, and then try to keep this part, don't cut it off, just make it nice. Some may cut off this part and then they'll place it here or maybe somewhere else, so it's actually up to you. Okay, then make sure your hand is not affected. So another thing is that this part, this shoulder, it's actually optional. You may paste this part on here, so it looks more muscular. Wait, I'll show you how it looks like. Yeah, so it looks like this. Yeah, I haven't colored this because I'm not sure how to get this color, this blue color. So you may paste it like that, like this, but then the cause is that this one, your hand movement will be affected. So how you move it is like you push it down and then you pull it. I think this is not really necessary for this trigger mode, so yeah, so I didn't paste it. Yeah, I see. So for me, I feel this is nice enough. This is, then you can rotate this one. For the previous one, right, this one you have to push it, so yeah, it will be harder I feel that. Okay, so this one I leave it as empty, and then another thing to notice is that this one, yeah, this arm piece. So you have to, actually this part is solid, so you have to scrape it off. So what I did was I use a screw and screwdriver and screw it. I try to make a hole in between in this part so that it's not hollow, so make it as like a tube. So, and initially it's solid, so I make it to hollow. Yeah, then after that, I just scrape it off. And the same thing is that you have to make it very thin. Yeah, and then your bodycon's hand, yeah, you notice that. So this is the original ones, and then you have to make it thinner, make it very thin like that. Make sure your movements are not affected, and then just put it in. It will be quite hard here, but then take your time. Patience is very important. Yeah, it will be like that. So after after wearing your arm piece, make sure your movements are okay. So yeah. For this arm piece, right, it is not really recommended for beginners, which means if you are a beginner, I'll recommend like Ultraman Trigger, Ultraman Guy, and so on, instead of new generation heroes, because new generation heroes basically their armors, they have a lot of armor parts, so it will be very complicated. Yeah, this part is quite complicated and spend a lot of time. Yeah, I spent 3 days in making the whole figure like that. And then for the legs, it's the same actually. So yeah, so I cut this part off, and then the same thing is that you need to scrape off your legs. So this is the original size. You have to make it to this thin. Yeah. And another thing to notice is that don't try not to affect this part, this circle, because if you scrape it too much, right, maybe your movements will be affected. Yeah, just push it. And then another thing to notice is that for this leg, you need to make it thinner. Make it thinner like that, so that you can put it in easily. This is the original size. Make your inner diameter to be lesser. Scrape off and fit it in. And after that, just check your movements. Yeah, check movements like that. This leg, and then maybe check and see whether you can bend it or not. So the same thing is that if your mold, you have like shoe, like something like armor pieces on the leg, I personally don't recommend you to start with this for beginners. So yeah, and then check your movements. here will affected a little bit, but it's, for me it's okay because it's rubber. And then another thing is that I don't really bend like this, so yeah. Then another thing to notice is that don't forget this part, this thing, your zip. Yeah, so this is what it looks like, where to cut and so on. And then the last thing is to check your movements, try and make some holes. Yeah. So I hope you have an an idea on how to make this. So if you have any question, you can ask me. Yeah. So if you ask me how long I spent to make this figure, I spent for 3 days. Yeah, 3 days to make this, and cutting and so on, because this part is solid, so it's actually quite hard to make it as hollow. So I spent very much time in these parts, and then maybe some people may finish it faster, but I don't, since I think I have not that much experience, so I spend more time. Yeah. Okay, so I'll end this video here. Thanks for watching.